So obviously Game of Thrones is the best looking show on television right now. They put a lot of their budget into making sure this show looks good. Even if they do reuse frames from 2 seasons ago and have the exact same models for every dragon, the visuals always look really good and they always make it work for the most part. This episode was no exception to that. Obviously it looked really good. That final scene when the dead march on the wall looked absolutely incredible because it was 100% budget. There was no dialogue really, there was no real acting that had to take place. Tormund and the men on the wall just had to act scared and run. The sound design for the dragon sounds really great. When it roars, it's got kind of a staccato that it didn't have before, so it sounds undead. Now, we had a lot of questions about what the dragon would be breathing, and I still don't think it's quite clear, but I do have a guess at what's coming out of Viserion's mouth. Now, I don't think it's just blue fire. It could be, but from the way it looks here, it appears as though the blast is concussive. It's not melting the ice, it's kind of just ramming into the ice and breaking it apart. And if it were fire, then why is the fire suddenly blue? I think this is just pure other energy. Whatever power that the Night King used to reawaken Viserion can now reproduce that energy and use it as a weapon. Or it could just be blue fire. Now, a whole lot of people seem to be confused. The entire wall did not fall, it was just the edge of the eastern side. Eastwatch has been completely destroyed. Castle Black should be fine, though they might get a rumble. Aesthetically, I like the way Viserion looks. I like the blue energy that's bursting out of him. I like the holes in his wings. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense aerodynamically, but I'm fine with it. Why complain about something like that? I like the look of the Night King riding him. I liked everything about this scene pretty much, except for I think Tormund should be dead. Not that I want him to die, I just think he's got a little bit too much plot armor recently. You know, Game of Thrones kind of became known as that show that kills off characters that you love, and really none of that's happened this season, which is fine, but I do think it would have been an impactful moment if someone that we actually liked had have died, especially since we got that scene last episode where Tormund definitely should have died. It would have made this scene a little bit more impactful, and it would have made that scene a little bit more bearable. That dragon flying past at the end totally looked like the Wrath of the Lich King from the World of Warcraft. Just look at it. It totally looks like it. It looks just like it. It's almost uncanny. It's probably just a coincidence though. This scene was awesome from beginning to end. So the siege at Casterly Rock ended in, I guess, stalemate, because Euron and his men are back in King's Landing, and the Unsullied are in King's Landing, and the Dothraki are in King's Landing. Everyone is meeting at the Dragon Pit because they're going to show everyone the undead zombie that they captured beyond the wall. And then, oh god, you get one of those goofy moments where it's all silent and like, oh my god, is it going to attack? Is it not going to attack? But really everyone knows that it's going to hop out. And then when the Hound knocks it over, it runs immediately towards Cersei. And I'm thinking, well, that's what it should have done in the last episode, but instead it just kind of looked around like it didn't know what to do. You see, this is what they do. They keep attacking, so why wasn't it attacking in the last episode? Yeah, that's my point. I kind of wanted the Mountain to rip the White apart. He didn't really react as fast as you would think he would. You see that he does kind of move, but a little bit slowly. And another thing is, why the did they have it on that long chain? This thing is freaking deadly. If that chain had been a little bit longer, Cersei might be freaking dead. Yeah, I don't get the chain. This is yet another chain that doesn't make sense. Qyburn is like super interested in this. I know he's gonna take these body parts and study them. Here's my crackpot theory of the day. Jon Snow and Dany both go up to fight the others and die. But Qyburn, using the knowledge that he gained from studying the White's body parts, builds Cersei an army of the undead by releasing a plague into King's Landing that turns the citizens into undead servants. And Cersei uses those undead servants to fight the others, and it ends in a truce, and Cersei and the Night King get married, and she becomes the Night Queen, and darkness reigns over Westeros for all eternity. It'd be so freaking awesome. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen. But anyways, they destroy the White. Euron is like, I'm getting out. I'm sailing off back to the Iron Islands because these things can't swim, so screw you guys. And he leaves. But Cersei says she agrees to the truce. with one caveat, and the caveat is that Jon Snow, King of the North, extends the truce and not choose sides and not take up swords against House Lannister. But Jon Snow can't do it because he says that he's already sworn to Daenerys Targaryen for no reason. Cersei gets pissed off and she's like, well, goodbye then. Honestly, Jon Snow should have just said yes. The Starks have been singing the same song for 7 seasons and it always just gets them killed. Even if you're not gonna keep your word, just lie to her. She's gonna lie to you. She's gonna try and kill you the first chance she gets. Stark's stupidity has been killing them since the first season. Ned Stark straight up told Cersei to her face that he knew about her deepest, darkest secret. That was literally the worst decision that he ever made. Robb Stark beheading Lord Karstark, marrying Talisa, and betraying Walder Frey, a super untrustworthy guy. Jon Snow straight up charges into an army. There's no real way that he could have hoped to have survived. So maybe it's time to consider that maybe the Stark way of thinking isn't the best, at least not in the current political climate. Cersei's full of shit anyways. Apparently Euron leaving was part of her plan. Euron says he's leaving because he's afraid of the White Walkers. So was his reason for leaving part of the plan initially? So does that mean that Cersei already believed that the White Walker thing was true? Because it seems like her plan is let them all die in the north and hopefully defeat the White Walkers in the process, while we get the Golden Company and conquer everything in the south. And hopefully by the time that the Northern War is over, their numbers have dwindled enough so that they're much more vulnerable to Cersei. That plan only makes sense if she already believed that the others were real. So we get a scene between Jaime and Cersei where she's telling him that she does not intend to send soldiers north with Daenerys Targaryen, and Jaime leaves her. She threatens to kill him, but he leaves her, and I knew she wouldn't actually kill him because we get this scene earlier where she doesn't even kill Tyrion, so if she couldn't kill Tyrion, she's definitely not going to kill Jaime. I'm curious to know exactly how the communication between her and the Mountain actually works, because she nods her head at the Mountain, and he kind of takes out his sword, but he doesn't actually kill Jaime yet. I actually like this scene a lot, and the part where Jaime was leaving and he sees the first snows of winter in King's Landing was very beautiful. The music was very good. I love the imagery of the snowy King's Landing. I thought it looked really, really fantastic. The Arya Sansa Littlefinger storyline comes to a conclusion in this episode, and yeah, it still totally sucks. Definitely the worst storyline this season. I thought that was going to go to the Citadel, but it was this storyline that was the worst in my opinion. The funny thing is, Arya and Sansa didn't know all along what Littlefinger was doing. To me, this episode clearly shows that Sansa figured it out at the last second. In the early scene, Littlefinger gives Sansa a thought experiment to uncover a person's motivations. She uses the thought experiment on Arya, comes to the wrong conclusion, uses it on Peter, comes to a better conclusion. Sansa has been struggling with figuring out what Littlefinger wants this entire season. Littlefinger's experiment was the final piece of the puzzle. That's why she repeats it to him at the end.
Sometimes, when I try to understand a person's motives, I play a little game. I assume the worst. What's the worst reason they could possibly have for saying what they say and doing what they do?
Sometimes when I'm trying to understand a person's motives, I play a little game. I assume the worst. What's the worst reason you have for turning me against my sister?
She realized what she discovered. She took this to Arya, she took it to Bran, they all got together. Bran obviously had to provide some information. Arya obviously saw the truth of it, realized that Littlefinger was manipulating her and Sansa. They agreed to do this coup. They bring Littlefinger to the hall, they kill him. And then even more, you have in the end, Arya finally accepting Sansa as the Lady of Winterfell. It was almost as if she was saying, I'm sorry for being a jerk earlier. But if Arya and Sansa knew the whole time, then why not just freaking kill Littlefinger? Just freaking kill him. You know he's a traitor, you know he's untrustworthy. Just kill him. Why do you still have him in Winterfell? What are you waiting for? No one's gonna care. No one likes Littlefinger, especially if Bran was in on it from the beginning. There they have concrete proof that Littlefinger did awful things. Kill him. Ned Stark's children, execute a known slimy piece of shit. No one is going to bat an eye. Either way, this storyline this season was very drawn out, bad acting pretty much all around, some of the worst lines and cringiest moments in Game of Thrones history. Peter Baelish on his knees crying, oh god, the cringe, the freaking cringe. I told you guys he was gonna die. Last year after season 6 ended, when I said that there was no point of this character anymore and that they were gonna kill him off in the next season, and everyone was like, no, he's important, he's got a scheme that involves the others and this and all these different theories. No, I told you he was gonna die because they had no idea what to do with this character. And so he ends up as a Scooby-Doo villain. I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Oh god, his plan was freaking stupid anyways. Like, god, who are you freaking kidding, dude? His plan sucked, he sucked, Arya sucked, Sansa sucked, Bran sucked, everybody just freaking sucked. They could have done so much more with Bran too. Like, oh my god, Bran sucked. We literally know nothing more about Bran and the way his powers work than we did last season. That is very frustrating to me. One thing that I am very curious about is Jon Snow's real name. I'm wondering why his name is Aegon when Rhaegar Targaryen already had a son named Aegon. You know, I read a leak that said that this was Jon's name, and I thought, you know, this can't be true because Rhaegar already has a son named Aegon, so why would he name both of his sons Aegon? I don't get that. What I really want to know is Jon Snow's name Aegon in George R. R. Martin's novels too? And if that's true, then why? Did he just forget about his other son? I don't expect to get an explanation for this in the show, but maybe in the books if these details align. So after a short season of very awkward sexual tension, Jon Snow and Daenerys finally hook up, and Tyrion's outside of the door, and he looks hurt by it. Were they trying to build a Tyrion and Daenerys romance? Is Tyrion crushing on Daenerys and I just didn't realize it? Has that been going on and totally slipped past me? I don't know. Anyways, go Daenerys and Jon Snow, I guess. These characters have no chemistry whatsoever on screen, but they're hot, so who really cares anyways? So, the Theon scene. I like the idea of it. I like what they're trying to do with him. But the scene itself was just a little bit goofy. He's like getting his ass kicked, and then suddenly he gets kneed in the pelvis. I mean, I guess this confirms that he doesn't have any balls either. It wasn't just his penis that was removed, it was his penis and his balls. But still, he's getting kneed in the pelvis. It's gonna hurt when you're getting kneed in the pelvis, so I don't buy that he's just smiling after getting kneed in the pelvis. And then suddenly he's kicking that dude's ass. So I hope Theon saves Yara. I don't like Yara very much, but I do like Theon. I think it's at least one character that's good in this show. Very solid character. He's, of course, aesthetically different from how he is in the book. You know, Reek in the book is much more disfigured by what Ramsay Bolton did to him. Like, he looks years and years older than he really is, and he's, like, balding, and he's really messed up. In the beginning of the episode, when they're all waiting on Daenerys, and Daenerys comes in on her dragon, and Cersei looks over and she says, "We were waiting quite a while," and Daenerys goes, "My apologies." I thought that was pretty funny. So let's talk about the Tyrion and Cersei scene. Let's see. Peter Dinklage and Lena Headey couldn't save that shitty dialogue. Both fantastic actors, two of the best actors on the show. If not the two best actors on the show at this point. They can make it almost bearable and believable, but just not quite. This episode was mostly really boring, with one really epic scene at the end, but like I said, that scene was 100% budget. I usually hate the word boring as a legitimate criticism because I feel like most of the time when people say something is boring, they're really just saying that they don't have the attention span to stay invested. But this episode was just a bunch of reiterations of stuff that we already know. They're recycling lines from like 5 seasons ago. The line that Sansa says to Littlefinger, "Thank you for all your many lessons," right before she kills him, was pretty much the exact same thing that Daenerys says to Zarazan Xhoxes in Season 2. "Thank you for teaching me this valuable lesson." Littlefinger's bad, we already know it. Is Cersei gonna kill Jaime? Of course not, she didn't kill Tyrion. The Night King's got a dragon, whatever could he do with it? Jon Snow's a Targaryen, that was revealed last season. This episode didn't have the huge logistical plot holes that the last episode had, but it still wasn't very great. And people keep defending those logistical inconsistencies by saying it's all fantasy. It's all fantasy, does that mean that Hermione Granger can do magic with a rubber ducky instead of a wand? This episode gets a 4 out of 10 for me. You got some developments with Jaime. I like the fact that he's leaving Cersei. I like the fact that Theon gets to go on his own adventure in the Iron Islands, or wherever his quest to find Yara leads him. Sam was in this episode too, and I kinda wish he wasn't because that was freaking cringe. He wasn't even listening to Gilly when she read out that piece of information, so how does he... you know what, never mind. But the Mountain though, yeah, that dude's cool. yeah, the mountain, freaking badass, and yeah, dragons and White Walkers riding dragons, yeah. I love this show, man. This show can do things that no other show can. You know, it gives you those cinematic moments that you just can't get in any other show. It gives you those mind-tingling moments. And then it also just gives you other crap. It gives you other crap sometimes. And it's just like, why am I watching the same show? So this is it for Game of Thrones this year. This was the season finale. And we won't be getting another season until probably 2019. And hopefully we'll get the Winds of Winter in 2018. So they've got the time. They've got the money. Got 6 episodes. They can make something spectacular. They can really bring this back and just give it like a mind-blowing ending that's going to knock everybody's socks off, and that's going to satisfy, you know, the book readers that were there from the very freaking beginning following the show, and then just satisfy, you know, the casual viewers. You know, they can do both. They really can. Yeah, this finale wasn't that great, and I knew it was going to be hit or miss, but they did leave it on a really cool ending, and so I gotta at least give them props for that. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more ideas of Ice and Fire. Check me out on Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon.